Welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University BA Geography, 3rd year, 5th semester. Today we are going to discuss about impact of disasters. I am Dr. D. Sabita, Assistant Professor, Department of Geoinformatics, Telangana University. Till last classes or last chapters, you have studied about what is disaster. By means of disaster, the word itself, it says that it is a serious problem which is caused by nature or human and affecting the people. This is a sudden occurrence of an phenomena which leads to the disruption of living of that particular place. So here people, property or ecology or environment is disturbed by the event. So this event may be a bigger or it can be a smaller, which may affect the human, and the coping capacity of the community disturbs and they directly depend on the outside help. So this is an event where people are unable to cope up and they tend to lose their life and property and expect or depend on others for support. So here we can say that a hazards like cyclones or earthquakes, when they are supported, when they are affecting the local population, that is known as vulnerable population, like buildings, poor people, leads to the disaster. So disaster is already pre-existing situation where a hazard or expectation of disturbance is already existing, and it is a point where it interacts with the local people as the vulnerable population of the community, and when both vulnerable population affected by the hazard leads to the disaster where life and property get disrupted. So types of disasters. Disasters are of two types: natural disasters caused by natural sources like geological or hydrometeorological. Geological causes are like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, landslides, where people tend to lose a life because of the natural eruption or disturbance in the earth crust. Whereas hydrometeorological reasons are water and weather conditions such as floods, cyclones, droughts, and cloudbursts, wherein the local population are affected by sudden inflow of water, whether it may be because of rush of rivers into the community or the rainfall into the community. So these are unexpected natural situations where human settlement get disturbed and sudden evacuation is impossible and the damage of life and property occurs. The second is man-made disasters caused by human actions. They can be technological or human induced. Technological expected like industrial incidents, oil spills, nuclear meltdowns, and human induced are stampedes, major fires, and terrorist attacks. So these are some of the natural disasters or human made disasters which make human life miserable, and over a period of time they are disrupted from the general common life which they are leading till yesterday. These disasters not only they affect at that particular point of time, but they have a rippling effect. That means a situation or an event which has occurred at that particular moment of time or place, it doesn't stop at that particular time or place, but it extends over a period of time, some weeks and to some decades of years. Example, we have an initial splash, immediate impact is death, injuries, building destruction, whereas the first ripple is the just after the event occurs. That means the deaths, injuries and the disaster which happens because of breakage of roads, electrocution or damage of major ports. The second effect of this major event is a long term, wherein the wide space or the area and over a period of time the disaster effects are carried on because of long term diseases or long term damage of the economy. So we have a rippling effect of one time occurrence of a disaster to over a period of time as first ripple and the second ripple. So over here, with the help of a diagram, we can understand the effect of the disaster is very high at that initial point of time when the disaster occurs, but over a period of time, because of effect of this disruption in road network, communication and also electrocution, the effect which tends to extend to some weeks and some bigger community. So over a period of time, when the destruction of that particular place happens, it can be a port, it can be a coastline which is disturbed, and over a period of time when this port was or the when this port is affected by the business, then over a period of time economy of that particular community disturbed, and over a decade or some few years after the occurrence of the event, the community still suffers because of occurrence of event some decade ago. So here the rippling effect is primary when it is occurring at that particular point of time and place, and it is indirectly affecting the second factors like such as it is disturbing the primary impacts is road networks, fall down of buildings, schools and hospitals, which is affecting the community as a whole for not getting the facilities after the occurrence of the disaster. The secondary effect is again continued with the tertiary impact, that is long term impact for a larger period of time and also for a bigger area. Example, months later the local economy is weakened because so many businesses were destroyed. So here we can also see tangible versus intangible losses. Tangible losses are the economic losses, and we can see with our eyes the physical destruction, whereas intangible are the emotional or the confident or respect towards the community which lost due to the disaster. So disaster may lead to tangible and also intangible losses of. We can also classify losses based on whether we can count them on money. So tangible are the destruction of buildings, crops and the businesses which can be counted on the basis of money or the economy. Intangible losses are the moral values or the temples, historic temples, cultural sites, emotional pain after suffering from the loss of life and household and the community. People tend to lose the security and also go along lot of depression and distress. So this also results into lot of stress on the common services. So when we have the pressure on common services, then loss of community trust is also possible. So these are all are the tangible losses and intangible losses which may occur after the disaster. So who is most affected? Here the most affected is the vulnerability of the people. Who are vulnerable? The people who are weak in recapping themselves. Most of them are poor, children, elderly people and women who can't recap themselves after the disaster. So who is most vulnerable? It is the poor people, live in weaker houses, have no savings to recover, and children and elderly physically weaker, and people in unsafe locations living on a floodplains or a steep hillside. These people are very vulnerable as they know flood or landslide may occur there, but at the same time they can't leave out the place and go for a safer place because of lack of proper support system. A cyclone is a hazard, but living in a hut on the coast makes it more vulnerable. The social and human impact, as we all have known till now, that as we tend to lose our people and also house the safety secure system of community, then people tend to lose lot of hope on the community. So community trust, loss of community trust in terms of loss of life and injury, homelessness and displacement, health problems, psychological pain, breakdown of communities, all of them tend to break down the human social network, and people tend to feel lot of unsafety in the relief camps. Displacement and homelessness. As and when the disaster occurs, naturally people have to move away to a safer places. But the people who were living in the earlier settlement as a safe and also getting their incomes and the family was running on very well, when they have to leave away all these secure system and to a different place with a minimum or the whatever they can carry, it is very impossible for them to lead a comfortably or a minimum safety zone life. So in this way they have to be displaced from their own place to another place which is furthermore insecure for them. This is also known as internal displaced persons. So in 2023 due to floods and storms in India, nearly 26 million people have gone for internal displacement globally. Further, public health gets into a crisis. When these people move from their own safety place to a newer place, it can be a relief camp or a small school or a facility which has to crowd many people into a small hamlets or a refugee camps where security point of view and health facilities get depleted. Over a period of time, because of accumulation of more people into one place, more sanitary based or the sewerage based or clean water based problem occurs, because of which new crises like diarrhea, malaria and cholera starts beginning in these relief camps. So vector borne diseases may attack them because of the ripple effect of the disaster. Finally, it is the psychological impact of displacement of people from safer hamlets or villages or cities to a newer place of crowded refugee camps will lead to a lot of pain behind the safety norms and also lack of belongingness and security for them. Disruption of social fabric. Till yesterday, before a disaster, they used to live in a social network wherein everything in the society was well planned and well managed to gain their social economic stability. Whereas after the destruction of or the disaster, they have now exposed to the disruption of social fabric. Now everybody is trying to get their own share of bread or get their own share of facility. Now the fabric of social concern gets lost and people started feeling insecure and lot of competition for the facilities. The case study of 2015 Nepal earthquake, wherein it has attacked at the magnitude of 7.8 and it affected 9,000 people and 3.5 million people were displaced. All of them went into the refugees into a crowded environment wherein many number of temples were damaged because of earthquake. This has led to lot of degradation of human and also historical evidences what we had or the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Economic impact. Economic impact is a very major impact because all the human life we tend to live based on our economic or income gain. When you have a disaster for months together you have no income. Economic impact is very important because in a social life we tend to live based on the income. When a disaster occurs, total economic system gets disrupted as the social network and business layouts are disturbed. People are now getting very minimum facilities without any income. So if you have no income, then you can't buy any facilities. You have to depend on the refuge given facilities. So over here, all the businesses, local businesses and also factories, industries of that place get disrupted. It is not only the common man who is losing his income, but also big industries are disturbed in terms the economy of the country also affected by the disasters. Damage of critical infrastructure. Infrastructure plays very important role in connecting or getting the facilities at the time of disaster. But at the time of disaster, when it is also disturbing the infrastructure such as electrical poles or the roads, bridges, etc., it is highly impossible to get people out of the disaster place, as bridges are collapsed, roads are disturbed, and also you have no proper network system. Communication and electricity gets totally disturbed. This adds to the fire when you have more disturbance, where you have very less time and more less facilities to help people and give them better facilities. Finally, loss of livelihoods. Of course, the disaster which is displacing people, they are unable to get back to their livelihood because whole of the natural setup of the community was disturbed, and whole lot of economic activities which were previously available are disturbed. So, livelihood disturbs and livelihood results into the social disturbance, and the crime rate increases in spite of getting the daily food. Impact on key sectors such as agriculture and tourism. Most of the region in India is affected by the agriculture crops. It can be drought, it can be floods, it can be cyclones, earthquakes. Most of the crop is affected in India. It directly affects on the farmers' income. Over a period of time, this agriculture based economies are affecting the GDP of a country. A tourism which was till yesterday was dependent on the coastal tourism. Today, because of the cyclone or the floods or the tsunamis, the coastal economy of the country or the community disturbs, and the people are unable to get their income. Indirectly, government is unable to get its taxes. Cost of recovery and reconstruction. The most important hidden disruption or the disturbance of the disaster management is the reconstruction and recovery. The same place which has equal importance, if it is rebuilt, tourism can be rebuilt, agriculture can be reset up because of the locational importance of that place. But when a devastation occurs or the disaster occurs, the economic backbone of the economy completely disrupts. But unless it is rebuilt or recovered, reconstructed, it can't get back its own back economy. So that if the economic activity has to start, it has to be recovered and reconstructed. The government, which is already not getting enough funds to run the rehabilitation center, now it has to press in more amount of money in reconstruction. It is around 50 billion per year in 2080 in 1980, sorry. The fact the economic cost of disaster is rising. In 1980s it was about 50 billion per year. Now it has over 200 billion per year. So cost of recovery and reconstruction is increasing day by day because of increasing in natural disasters or human made disasters. Impact on national and global economy. In 2011, floods in Thailand, which was a major computer based or computer internal product manufacturer affected by the floods, it has to increase the price of components of computers, and this has led to a very sharp increase in the inputs or the inputs of computers, and global computer economy also increased the prices of the computer because of one single devastating disaster occurred in the Thailand. The case study of hurricanes of Katrina 2005 USA at New Orleans also seen this effect, which was a major port which was disrupted by this hurricane Katrina, and major economic activities of this particular area was disrupted. Port was totally damaged and the US economy had to see lot of losses, and it has taken nearly some decades to recover this place, and this is still the recovery is going on. Environmental impact. Nature scars. So environmental impact is very important because ecological Ecological biodiversity happen to be very important, and this biodiversity actually helps the local people to run their economy. When the biological or biodiversity of one place disturbs, then it is very difficult for the local people to regain. At the same time, this local biological or biodiversity helps the common crops, local crops, to get fertile or get good produce. So now, after the environmental impact, there can be destruction of forests and reefs, pollution may increase, loss of animals and plants. So some number of species get in danger, and we tend to lose the natural ecosystem of the people. Destruction of the ecosystem. So forests destroyed by the fires, landslides and strong winds, wetlands, mangroves when they are disturbed by the cyclones and tsunamis. Mangroves happen to be supporting the coastlines, which are helping the coastline in regaining its biodiversity, and also fishing zones. So this economic activity gets disturbed if these mangroves or wetlands are disturbed because of tsunamis. Coral reefs, once again, when the pollution or the temperature increases in the marine water, coral reefs tend to get bleached, and a beautiful or many number of tourist spots get spoiled up. Environmental pollution. Whatever is happening on the surface of the earth is directly or indirectly affects on the environment, on the land and also water. So when the water or the soil gets contaminated, it again supports or it again multiplies the effects of the disaster. By we can have the chemical spills. Earthquakes or floods can damage factories, causing dangerous chemicals to leak into rivers or soils, and wastages which are again getting into soils and waters deep into. Impact on biodiversity. Any habitat requires its rainfall and temperatures maintained. Any differences in rainfall and temperatures will lead to the disturbance in the biodiversities. So Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011 Japan, which has led to the earthquake in the Japan. This has led to the tsunami in the Japan's coastal area, which the tsunami has really erupted the nuclear plant, and they started the disturbance in the nuclear cooling system. This nuclear cooling system disruption led to the melting of the nuclear elements, and these elements were directly dissolved into soil and water. So this has taken some decades of time to recover or make the corrective measures to correct the disaster. So we have the three effects on disasters, that is an earthquake which has occurred due to geological disaster, and this has led to the tsunami, which is hydrometeorological disaster, and finally it has resulted into nuclear meltdown as technological disaster. All of them have disasters. All these disasters have disturbed the local environment, both water and on land. So finally, we can say that the role of technology in a modern world. Technology is changing how we manage disaster impacts. Satellite and drones help us to map the damage quickly. Social media used by people to ask for help and by governments to share warnings. Artificial intelligence can help predict where a disaster might hit hardest. So, final thoughts, we can say that resilience is the ability of community to resist, absorb, adapt to and recover from the effects of hazards in a timely and effectively manner. It is like a tree that can bend in a strong wind but does not be broken. So, our final goal is not just to survive disasters but to build communities that are strong, prepared and resilient. Key strategies to reduce impact. Early warning system give people time to prepare and evacuate. Build safer infrastructure, making sure our buildings, roads and bridges can withstand hazards. protecting ecosystems, saving mangroves and forests that provide natural protection, education and training, teaching communities what to do before, during and after a disaster. Role of technology in a modern world. Technology is changing how we manage disaster impact. Satellites and drones help us to map the damage quickly. Social media used by people to ask for help and by government to share warnings. Artificial intelligence can help predict where a disaster might hit hardest. So, disaster is a point of event wherein the hazard becomes a vulnerable situation wherein the people and the community ecosystem tend to be affected by the hazard. This is a point of time where the destruction of life and property occurs. The destruction it can be first stage wherein the immediate destruction of life and property. It can get into the second stage wherein the effect of disaster may occur. It can be like due to destruction, due to earthquake, it can be disruption in the powerhouse and you have lack of power facility or sudden breakout in the building. So, first destruction was the earthquake. Its immediate effect is the breaking down of the buildings, because of which many people die in the collapse of the building. The third effect is after few days or few weeks when everything gets distracted and whole of the economy has to grow itself, economy and also the people who have lost their lives and got injured. And over a period of time when the economy has to face and reconstruct itself, all these things become the third stage of disaster. Disasters can be natural and also man-made. Natural disasters are geological or geohydrological, and man-made disasters are technological and also biological. So finally, disasters may lead to social, economical, technological, ecological, environmental disruptions of the earth's surface, wherein all these phases wherein human settlement gets affected in terms of property and also life over a period of time. The social and psychological impact of the disaster affects the human being, disturbing the or achieving the goals, 7 SDG goals of sustainable development, 17 sustainable development goals, wherein right to life, having proper clean water, saving the land and the life underwater, all this becomes a task, and a disaster may risk our 17 SDGs. Finally, it is the reconstruction and recovery of the particular area in terms of ecosystem and also human economy, which becomes a stress on the government. So, whenever we have a hazardous region, we have to go for a proper planning so that we can decrease the casualties and also improve the quality of life without harming the ecology and the economy of the country. Thank you.